Two children were tied up in a freezing barn, their strength nearly gone. But when rescuers arrived, they found a German shepherd pressed against them, fighting to keep them alive. No one could believe what this dog had done, and the truth left. The entire town in tears. Snow fell in thick, silent sheets over the town, frosting rooftops and turning every road into a slick ribbon of ice. Most families were already home, warm behind their windows, when the first call came in. It was Lily's mother, her voice so tight with fear it cracked on every word. They were supposed to be home by 4, she gasped into the phone. Lily and Marcus. No one's seen them since they left school. Within minutes, the quiet neighborhood erupted into movement. Patrol cars crawled the streets, spotlights sweeping over yards and porches. Neighbors bundled in coats and scarves formed search parties, their flashlights bobbing through the darkness. The children's footprints were discovered near the edge of the woods, partially covered by new snow. Officer Daniels knelt to examine them, his heart sinking as he traced the small impressions. The temperature had already dropped below freezing. Every minute mattered. They couldn't have gone far, he told the search team, though dread twisted in his gut. We keep moving. Lily's father joined them, stumbling through drifts with tears frozen on his cheeks. They've never done anything like this, he kept saying. They wouldn't run away. And he was right. A mile away, past the tree line and an old fence, Lily and Marcus huddled together in an abandoned barn. Thick rope bound their wrists and ankles. Each breath came out in a cloud that hung in the icy air. Someone will come, Lily whispered, trying to keep her brother awake. But as the wind howled through the boards and the darkness pressed in, even she wondered if anyone would find them in time. Rex had been waiting by the patrol car, nose pressed to the crack of the door, when Officer Daniels finally returned to retrieve him. The German shepherd leapt out into the snow without hesitation, his harness already strapped on. He was a seasoned canine, trained to find missing people even when every second meant the difference between life and death. Daniels crouched to look Rex in the eye. Find them, boy, he whispered, his voice rough. Rex's ears flicked forward, and he lowered his nose to the ground, inhaling deeply that a volunteer handed over a knitted glove, damp with snow but still carrying the faintest trace of Lily's scent. Daniels held it out, and Rex pressed his snout to it, breathing it in like a promise. Search, Daniels commanded softly. The dog bolted forward, tail high and body tense with purpose. He led them past the school grounds and over a narrow creek that had frozen solid. Each time the trail faded, Rex circled, sniffing the wind until he picked it up again. The team followed in a tight line, their breaths white in the darkness. Finally, after what felt like endless minutes, Rex paused at a splintered wooden fence. Beyond it stood the silhouette of a barn, half buried in snow. The dog's ears flattened. As he let out a low, urgent bark, Daniels felt a shiver crawl up his spine. He raised his flashlight, sweeping it over the darkened doorway. Someone was here, he said, his voice tight. Rex lunged forward, barking again, louder this time. His paws battered the snow as he strained against the leash. He knew. They were close. The old barn creaked in the wind, its walls shifting like an uneasy giant. Officer Daniels pushed the door open just far enough for his flashlight beam to slice through the darkness. Dust and cold flooded out to meet them. For a heartbeat, all he saw was broken tools and piles of hay. Then a small movement caught his eye. A shiver. A scrap of blue fabric. Lily, he shouted, voice cracking to the sound. Lily's head jerked up. Her eyes were wide and unfocused from cold, but when she saw Rex silhouetted in the doorway, she let out a tiny sob of relief. Help. Us, she whispered, her voice hoarse. Rex lunged past Daniels, bounding across the barn floor. He skidded to a halt beside the children and began nosing their shoulders and hands, whining in distress. Marcus stirred weakly and blinked up at the dog, confusion and hope flickering across his pale face. Lily tried to smile, her lips cracked from the cold. Hi, puppy, she rasped, as though she'd been waiting her whole life for him to find her. Daniels was already moving, radio pressed to his mouth. Dispatch, we have them. Repeat, we have both children alive. Immediate medical assistance required. He dropped to his knees and began working at the ropes with frozen fingers. Rex pressed close to Marcus, his warm body blocking the worst of the wind. He licked the boy's cheek, tail wagging low as if to say you're safe now. Outside, the wail of sirens began to build, rolling through the trees like a promise that help was coming. But inside the barn, the children clung to Rex as if he were the only thing keeping them tethered to hope. The ropes fell away one by one, but Marcus didn't stir again. His eyelids fluttered, then closed. Panic flared in Lily's chest as she tried to shake him with numb hands. "Marcus," she croaked. "Wake up, please." Officer Daniels pressed 2 fingers to the boy's neck, feeling the sluggish thump of his pulse. He turned to his radio, voice urgent. "We need paramedics inside now. Severe hypothermia." Rex whined, pacing in a tight circle. Then he did something no one expected. He lay down directly against Marcus's side, pressing all his warmth into the boy's small, freezing body. His deep chest rose and fell against Marcus's back, each breath steady as a metronome. Lily's teeth chattered uncontrollably, but she leaned into Rex's flank, too, wrapping her arms around his fur. She closed her eyes and whispered, "Don't leave us," over and over, like a prayer. Outside, boots pounded across the snow as paramedics ran for the barn. Daniels peeled off his jacket and draped it over both children, fighting to keep his hands steady. "You're going to be okay," he told Lily, though he wasn't sure if she heard him. "You're safe now." Rex didn't move. His ears flicked back when the medics rushed in, but he refused to leave the boy's side. Even as gloved hands reached for Marcus, Rex kept pressing close, as if he could will the warmth back into the child's body. Finally, Marcus let out a tiny sigh and opened his eyes just enough to see the dog's face inches from his own. His lips parted, and the faintest smile appeared. "Good dog," he whispered, before drifting back into exhausted sleep. The medics worked quickly, wrapping the children in thick blankets and checking their vitals. Marcus was still pale, but his breathing had steadied. Lily wouldn't let go of Rex's fur. Her tiny hand clenched around his collar even as a paramedic tried to lift her. "It's okay," Officer Daniels said softly, crouching to meet her eyes. "Rex will be right behind you." Only then did she release her grip. She looked at Rex with a fierce gratitude that seemed far too big for someone so small. The dog tilted his head, as if he understood, and nudged her cheek with his cold-nosed ass. The children were carried out. The other officers stepped aside to let them pass. Flashing lights painted the snow in waves of red and blue, but inside the barn, everything felt hushed. Rex stood near Daniels, watching until the ambulance doors closed. "You did it, partner," Daniels whispered, resting his hand on Rex's strong shoulders. "You saved them." News of the rescue spread faster than the dawn. By morning, the story of the children and the loyal K9 was on every station, every screen. People across the country sent letters and donations. Strangers called the station, crying as they thanked the dog they'd never met. A week later, when Lily and Marcus were well enough to leave the hospital, they insisted on one stop before going home. They arrived at the station bundled in scarves and coats, their eyes bright. Rex trotted over the moment he saw them, tail wagging so hard his hips swayed. Lily flung her arms around his neck. "You're our hero," she whispered, and in that moment, with everyone watching, Rex knew he hadn't just found them. He had saved something precious no cold could ever take away.